And hello. So here we are for algebra, lesson 4-9 on parallel and perpendicular lines. So we're going to look at a little bit of a thingy here, and then these two pieces down here are going to be the points that you want to have memorized, because they're going to help you function in this lesson. Okay, so we're going to start by graphing equation A, B, and C on this grid below. Equation A is going to be dark blue, and again, in order to do that, hopefully you're seeing right away that you need to start by isolating that y. All right, so up 3, 1, 2, 3 for my y-intercept, and then I have a slope of up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which really does simplify to 2/3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And there I have. I could even go in the middle. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 there. So there I have a fabulous looking equation A. All right, next for equation B, we're going to look at that one in red. Equation B has a lot of stuff going on that I need to solve for. I can move the 12 over and the 16, or I can just move the 8y over. So 8y is equal to negative 12 minus 16. Divide both pieces by 8. Y is equal, one of those pieces is missing an x. Imagine that. The 12 is the one that should have the x. There we go. Okay, so negative 12 over 8 simplifies into negative 3 halves, because 4 goes into 12 3 times and 4 goes into 8 2 times. And negative 16 divided by 8 is a minus 2. So this red one, oh geez, my hand's hitting things. So this red one is starting off at a y-intercept of negative 2 and going down 1, 2, 3 over 2. 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 And there we have our red line. Or equation B, as it is labeled. Okay. Last but not least, we'll do equation C, and we'll do that one in light blue. So that one nicely is already in slope-intercept form for us. So I'm starting off at my y-intercept of negative 4 and going up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so if you haven't put together based on the picture and based on the title, horrible, based on the title of this lesson, you'll see that here we have graphed. Here we go. Here we have graphed parallel and perpendicular lines. So looking at this grid here, which two of those lines would you say are parallel? Thinking about what parallel means. Let's also remind ourselves real quick, because why not? Parallel means those lines will never cross or intersect. So clearly, based on my picture, line A and line C are never going to cross and are never going to intersect. Well, what do we notice about the slope of equation A and equation C? Well, the slope of equation A was 4 over 6, which we talked about being able to be simplified to 2/3. And, the slope of our equation C was also 2/3, leading us to believe that parallel lines have the same or equal slope. Parallel lines have, we'll say, equal slopes, or you can think of it as the same slopes. And that makes sense because in order for two lines to never cross or to never intersect, they would have to continually be going up and over at the same rate forever. Now, the relationship between our perpendicular lines is a little bit different. If we look at the slope of our perpendicular lines, which are naturally either the blue, dark blue, or light blue, and the red, right? Reminding ourselves that maybe from once upon a time ago, perpendicular lines form a 90-degree angle. Not really a super important fact for this kind of a lesson. You're more focused on these slope pieces, like I said. So anywho, if you look at the slope of equation B, which is -3/2, and you compare that to the slope of equation A or C, which is 2/3, what do those have in common? Well, you might be noticing that the numbers are flipped, right? The 2's on the top and 1 the bottom and the other, and then the 3's. Also, the signs are changed. And this is what we call perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. Opposite meaning the sign changes. Reciprocal meaning that you flip your fraction. So that's exactly what we did over here. Our slope was -3/2. We first changed the sign and made it positive instead of negative, and then we flipped it. So 2 facts that you need in order to be successful on this lesson. Parallel lines have equal slopes, and you can remember that because the double L in parallel almost looks like an equal sign if you were to rotate it. And perpendicular have opposite reciprocal slopes.